Good evening, Whitemarsh. I'd like to call the Township Board of Supervisors meeting for June 9th, 2022 to order. We are beginning just a few minutes after 7. JC, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Fran, do you have some announcements?
Yes, thanks, Laura. Movies in the Park continues June 15th at Cedar Grove Park for a free viewing of Sing 2. The showing begins at dusk. Please bring your own blankets or lawn chairs. Pico will be closing Butler Pike nearby the Lulu Shrine beginning June 13th. This is a 24-hour closure and is expected to last approximately 30 days. The Township website includes specific detour information for local residents. The 4th of July parade returns next month. Those who wish to march in the parade must register their organization no later than June 28th. Please register through the Township website. The parade will take place on Monday, July 4th at 10 a.m. and will be followed by the picnic in Miles Park. Thanks.
Thank you. So we have a couple proclamations on our agenda tonight that my colleagues here are going to read, but I just wanted to comment that even though we are sharing this in the month of June, these are meant to be thought about, given recognition to, and honored throughout the year all the time. Fran, would you like to begin?
Sure. I'm going to read the proclamation on Pride Month 2022. Whereas the LGBTQ plus community is a vital component of Whitemarsh Township culture and economy, and whereas Whitemarsh Township is dedicated to fostering a diverse community inclusive to all, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, and whereas the LGBTQ plus community has faced a long history of bullying, discrimination, and violence that continues today, now therefore be it resolved that we, the Whitemarsh Township Board of Supervisors, do hereby declare the month of June as Pride Month and encourage the Township residents to show their pride as members and allies of the LGBTQ community. Resolved this day, 9th day of June 2021, or 2022, misprint, 2022.
Thanks, Fran. And I believe, Rick, you can confirm we do have the flag flying today. Excellent. JC?
I'm going to read the proclamation for Juneteenth, 2022. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation taking effect on January 1st, 1863, and whereas the 13th Amendment was ratified on December 6th, 1863, and whereas word of the Emancipation Proclamation was delayed over 2.5 years to June 19th, 1865, in reaching enslaved African Americans in the South and Southwestern states and territories. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Whitemarsh Township Board of Supervisors, do hereby declare June 19th, 2022 as Juneteenth and encourage all Township residents to celebrate and reflect upon the significance of African American heritage in our nation and community. Resolved this day, June 9th, 2022.
Thank you, JC. Any board comments, public comments? Okay. We're moving on to our approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from May 12th, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We do have a few public discussion items tonight, the first being our review of the Spring Mill Multi-Modal and Land Use Study.
I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gutplan to introduce the public hearing for this study.
Thank you. This is actually a public hearing. This is being considered for adoption as an amendment to the Township's comprehensive plan. It has been advertised as a public hearing on May 25th and June 1st, 2022 in the Times Herald accordingly. And I'm just going to give a very, very quick background because you'll hear a short presentation in just a minute. But this is a study that's been underway for over a year. It's been conducted by Gilmore and Associates as the township's consultant chosen to do the study. And it is focused on the area around the Spring Mill Septic Station and the environment around there. And it looked at multimodal issues, shared parking issues, better access to the river, and also included some land use recommendations. It was funded in large part by a grant, a Transportation and Community Development Initiative grant through the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission. And the last thing I want to mention about it is that this was discussed by the Planning Commission on May 24th. They had what was considered by the State Planning Code a public meeting that was also advertised for that purpose to discuss the study, and at the end of that they made a recommendation to this board to consider adopting it as an amendment to the comprehensive plan with one suggestion that the implementation timeline be adjusted to have the same time frames as the 2020 comprehensive plan for conducting the implementation activities, and that was agreed to, and Gilmore will be making that change before the document is finalized. With that, I would like to introduce Judy Stern Goldstein from Gilmore and Associates. Right there. I need to share my screen.
Thank you. While Charlie's pulling that up, I'll introduce the rest of the project team here with me tonight. Krista Heinrich, who you know, and Emily Paskowitz. Together, we worked on this with our transportation division. And while it's still coming up, I'll just start talking. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, so it is the Spring Mill Multi-Modal Land Use Study. The project site, whoops, can you pull it up for the, there we go. The project study area extends from Cherry Street down to and including the Spring Mill County Park, and then an area up along North Lane also.
I'm going to have to start it over again. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll just not click. It looks right on this one. Oh, no, it doesn't.
You seem to have it.
Okay, it just doesn't go right here, but that's okay. I'll catch up there. So there were 4 major goals, and these all pertain to the study area itself. Enhance the multimodal connectivity, evaluate potential redesign of the waterfront, and identify and evaluate potential undeveloped or underdeveloped properties in the area. And then the 4th one is to identify solutions for the Spring Mill Junction where everything comes together. The project started in May of 2020 when the township received the DVRPC TCDI grant. The township then formed a steering committee of 23 individuals representing various boards, commissions, residents, and business owners in the township and in that study area. We held 6 steering committee meetings, 1 site tour, a online survey, key person interviews, 2 public presentation/listening sessions, the Planning Commission meeting in May, and a presentation to Conshohocken Borough just earlier this month. TCDI grants were heavy on public participation. I'm going to take you through some of the recommendations of the study. First is regarding Washington Street. Washington Street has some issues. Primarily, it dead ends. We can't get from Conshohocken to Whitemarsh and vice versa because the road doesn't go there. There's not enough room. The David's Bridal building is precluding a connection there. So one of the options that we developed for an interim option. Does it look right? Good. It looks right on there. It doesn't look right on this screen. Sorry. To have a signalized roadway, so signals on either side of the pinch point, and then it would be one way at the pinch point where you can't get two lanes, so only one direction of traffic would go at a time, and that would be coordinated with proper gates for the railroad, and it would all be working together. Ultimately, we would like to have a two-lane profile all the way through. This is a cross-section of what it would look like. And then in plan, if the David's Bridal building was no longer in play as the pitch point, we could then have full two-way access connecting all the way through into Conshohocken and back into Whitemarsh. It would be very good for emergency services, public access, and health, safety, and welfare of the residents. This would also include all the proper signage and gates for pedestrians and vehicles at the railroad crossing. In the Spring Mill Riverfront area, one of the issues we heard a lot from the key person interviews and the steering committee was that the Tricycle Cafe is a popular gathering spot, so popular, in fact, that people spill over onto the sidewalk and into the street. So one of the recommendations was to provide a gathering area across the street, include a sidewalk or a crosswalk, raised crosswalk for traffic calming to slow traffic in that area, give people a safe way to get across, and include bike racks and all the appropriate amenities. Spring Mill Junction is chaotic in its current state. It's sort of a cul-de-sac at the end. You can look out on the river if you want to. People are rushing by the Schuylkill River Trail. People are dropping off and picking up people for the train station, and it's very chaotic. So this solution would be to create with pavers in various colors the actual travel lanes and routes that the different users would take. You can see in the piano key crosswalk the Schuylkill River Trail route, the darker brown would be the vehicular route, and then the other areas could be pedestrian. This would also include stop bars, bollards, gates, or the train. In this area also, we're looking at the connection or the continuation of the Riverwalk from where it currently ends in Conshohocken, coming down around the Heinz Rowing Center, along the river then, and connecting through the Spring Mill County Park, possibly through a section of boardwalks, and then with the potential to connect to the future Miracle Nature Trail in the Pico right-of-way. And then ultimately in this area, if David's Bridal was out of play and their parking lot wasn't there, there could be a Washington Avenue extension down to Station Avenue, and that would be two-way the full way. We would take that gathering area and be an overlook over the river and have a pervious paved plaza or gathering area with restrooms, comfort stations. It would be a much greater project at that point because there would be more opportunity. Along North Lane, we were looking at land use. The primary recommendation is to have transit-friendly development and mixed use and/or some park space, and really add more trails, get people down to the train station, take advantage of the multimodal opportunities to get people off the streets and into other modes of transportation. Parking recommendations. We kept hearing you can see a lot of parking, but there's never enough parking. It's privately owned, it's under other people's control. So the study includes recommendations for exploring options for shared parking, and if shared parking is not an option, in the end, there's a recommendation for a parking garage or parking deck at the fire station at the corner of Hector and North. And then overall recommendations include pedestrian crossing upgrades and connectivity throughout the study area, wayfinding signage, which would be very important. And then a thing that Emily actually came up with, street art and education, a wavy line painted in the street, sidewalk, paved areas representing the area or the extent to which Hurricane Ida came up and flooded the area. And the tagline, "It wasn't the first flood and it won't be the last," with a lot of educational information. And people can use the QR code. So really educate people, you're in the floodplain, let's take it seriously. And that is an overall of the study. I did look at your packets. The full study was in your packet in all of its glory with all the appendices. And there's a lot of information in there. Don't let this little 5-minute presentation fool you. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Thank you so much. I know there's a lot in there. I know you guys do such a great job with such attention to detail, the whole team. And there is a lot to read after going through the Miracle Nature Trail. So I know you're quite dedicated, so thank you for all the attention that you've put to it, the whole team.
On behalf of the project team, I thank you. It's been a fun project to work on.
It's nice that they were kind of in tandem. You probably, hopefully, were able to use some of the same information or data a little bit.
We
little bit.
used some of the same data, definitely the familiarity with the area and with the people, a lot of cross-breeding on different steering committees and public involvement. It was very good.
Excellent. I know they're going to dredge the Schuylkill, so at some point that hopefully will also improve up our way too.
Money for it.
Looks great. I think it's very well done. You said you presented to Conshohocken. What was their feedback?
Their feedback actually was addressed also in a letter from Stephanie Checco to Rick, I believe yesterday. Their feedback was great, but you know what? We want it all about Washington Street, so let's do that first. And they're actually willing to participate in the solution for Washington Street, that immediate solution with the traffic lights and the one-way, and then looking for the ultimate solution. That impacts them severely, and they were really interested in the emergency management portion of that.
Cool.
Which is understandable, for sure, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we have any other board questions, comments?
Thank you.
Any public comments? Seeing none. Do I have?
Hold on.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't-
Thank you.
Sure.
Good evening. My name is Susie Gordon, and I live in the 300 block of Roberts Avenue. And first, I just want to say that I thought the plan use study was really well thought out, well done. I've lived there for 20 years, and I'm looking forward to using the different amenities that were included in the plan. Over the past 20 years, when I've lived in Conshohocken, there's definitely been a lot more people, and there's a lot more coming with the pending development. So I wanted to mention the parcels on North Lane, and wanted to, last month at the planning committee, I did inquire about that, and I was advised that this plan was limiting the use from what it is today, because there's more uses available than proposed. But I don't know if any of you are familiar with the property, the residential area. It's a nice big open space, and I would love to be able to see that preserved, if it could be considered for open space or trails or agriculture or CSA. I think that would be great. And then I thought the study did a really good job of addressing the different pinch points. That was a word that was used a lot. But I think if residents were put in on North Lane, that it would create more pinch points with that steep incline of North Lane, putting in attached residences in that area. I think it would definitely create more pinch points. So just wanted to voice that concern. So, thank you.
Thank you. And you're on Roberts, is that what you had said?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other public comments? Yeah, come on up.
Hi, my name is Michelle Zuma. I'm from the 400 block of Roberts Avenue in Conshohocken, and the study was very well done, very thorough. I appreciated all the work that went into this. Looking at some of the issues that I looked at from comments from the public, majority of it was addressing traffic, road improvements, safety for pedestrians, the flooding. A few times stop building came across in those comments, parking issues, and there's just little room for growth in this area. And if noticing the pending land development projects that are going on right now with the 62 townhomes with additional 19 townhomes, that's 81 townhomes, 1,368 apartments, which brings it to 1,450 dwellings with at least 2 people probably in those dwellings. You're now talking about another 3,000 people in that area. which will congest the area. So this is in conjunction with the parts on North Lane that Susie had mentioned, trying to reduce those becoming developed as one of the options that were in there. We would like to see things kept as open space in those areas. It'll start congesting things a whole lot more, putting those amount of properties into there, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chad Waters, 323 Roberts Ave. I echo the concerns about the uphill vagueness of what you're going to be doing with the zoning in those parcels. Furthermore, in regards to the Riverwalk, that's a great idea. I just would like to comment that we do have the riverfront plan that part of it, there is an easement for that trail, and we already have developers looking for variances that greatly shrink that easement. And I just stress, like, as they come to us, please don't give in on that. Like, that easement is there for residents to feel welcome going on that trail, and there's also safety concerns there as well. And lastly, developing around a transportation station is a great idea. I welcome it. I would just say that we are building around a SEPTA train station, and the current state of SEPTA is pretty embarrassing. I would hope that as we invest in building around there, that we reach out to our state reps and the county to make sure that they have buy-in as well, because if SEPTA is unusable, then this is all kind of a waste. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Well, thank you, everybody. We don't have any through Zoom, right? All right, let's move on with this, if everybody is comfortable. Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-16, approving the Spring Mill Multi-Modal and Land Use Study as amended, as an amendment to the Township's comprehensive plan?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller, please call the roll.
Mr. McCusker?
Yes.
Ms. Toll?
Yes.
Mr. Manuel?
Yes.
Ms. Turenne?
Yes.
Chair Nestor?
Yes. Thank you. And I appreciate everybody's comments tonight very much. Thank you for coming too. Our second public discussion item is a review of the subdivision land development 0522 Catania Construction LLC at 246 and 248 Hillcrest Avenue. And this is a preliminary / final minor 2-lot subdivision.
I'll turn that over to Mr. Gutplan for an
Okay.
introduction.
I will start this off. This is a minor subdivision of 2 lots on, as you indicated, on Hillcrest Avenue, 246, 248 Hillcrest Avenue. There were 3 tax parcels with 2 homes on them, and the proposal is to eliminate the 3 tax parcels, create 2 equal-sized lots, and build 2 new homes, 1 on each lot. So we're going from 2 old homes, which have been demolished, to 2 new homes. Same number of homes when we're all said and done. This was in front of the Planning Commission on April 26th. The Planning Commission considered a number of waivers as well as the plan itself and made several recommendations. The main issue that was a discussion item was stormwater management. There were certain waivers proposed that the Planning Commission did not favor, and the applicant has since provided calculations to the township engineer, and they will be doing some additional stormwater management. In the end, the Planning Commission then made one other recommendation concerning park and recreation fee, that if that's waived, it should be with a condition that an equal amount of money be spent on trees elsewhere in the township at the direction of the township arborist. And all of the waivers were recommended for approval, and the plan as a whole was recommended by the Planning Commission for both preliminary and final approval as a minor subdivision. And I can make it a little bit larger. The plan is on the screen. I've now lost half of it, but the main portion of it is here. You see what the result is would be Lot 1, Lot 2, each with an existing with a new single-family home. These dotted lines represent the old tax parcels, which would be eliminated by the subdivision, and the new property line dividing the area would be here. There were certain dimensional variances that were necessary in order for this to occur. The applicant went before the zoning hearing board and did secure those variances. The applicant and Ed Hughes, their attorney, is here. I don't know if they'd like to add anything.
Good evening. We did receive a draft resolution, and we're acceptable with everything in there. Everything was fine.
Ed, how did you feel about the additional request the Planning Commission put on related to the trees, donated to other portions of the township?
The resolution addresses that and provides a $2,000 contribution to be used by the township for trees in some other location, which is acceptable.
Okay, great. And Krista, did you have any, I know there were a lot of waivers here, A through P. Did you have any questions or comments on them?
The 5 that the Planning Commission recommended not granting, I agree with that. And as Charlie mentioned, we did receive calculations since that time that demonstrate stormwater management ordinance can be met.
And those have been, if you recall, I pointed those 5 waivers out in the memo I sent the board.
Okay.
And if those were denied as recommended, they would be resolved by the calculations and the additional stormwater management that the applicant has agreed to.
So just to be clear, Charlie, because maybe they don't have the memo exactly in front of them, can you go through which waivers you're recommending denial on this evening?
Certainly.
Just so they hear.
And the current resolution before us has been modified to reflect these upgrade or the changes to the stormwater.
The waivers that are not recommended, the first one is item 10G in the resolution. It's for sections 10541 and 10575 from the requirement that a stormwater management plan be submitted to allow no stormwater management plan to be submitted. That was recommended for denial. And then there were 4 additional ones under item number 11, and these were, B under 11, section 2B8, from the requirement that a stormwater management report be submitted. I'm sorry, these following 4 are all under resolution 2004-8. That was the first one. And the other 3 are from section Roman numeral 2C1, from the requirement that the stormwater runoff be limited. The next one was from section Roman numeral 2C3, from the requirement that peak stormwater discharge be determined. And finally, from section Roman numeral 2F3D4D, from the requirement that a detailed soils evaluation be submitted to determine suitability for a seepage bed for runoff. So those were the 5 that were recommended for denial, which in my understanding would be resolved with what they have now submitted to the township engineer.
So we would, just so there's clarity, there'd be a motion to approve this resolution tonight and the waivers with the exception of the 5 noted by staff, which then would be worked through with Krista and her office on the stormwater, just so the board understands. So the current
sounds like it's
resolution,
underway.
we're recommending their denial of 5 different parts of it, as Charlie has
Would it
summarized.
be appropriate to withdraw those requests? Is that an easier way to do it? Those waivers?
Yeah, I mean, you could do,
They're no longer necessary with the revised documentation that we've submitted.
That's true. But the resolution is written.
why don't we just go ahead and do it this way for now, because that's what the board has in front of them, rather than, right.
Just deny them?
Just, we'll deny them, and then we'll, yeah,
Acceptable?
yeah.
Thank you for going through the detail. Thank you for reviewing the detail.
I told her what to say. Oh, yeah.
This
we have
actually
any-
finishes the sort of redevelopment of Hillcrest Avenue. These are the last 2 houses that were not rehabbed. My client and his family have done a few projects down there. Houses are very nice. These will be consistent with what was already constructed along the street. A vast improvement, I think.
Do we have pictures further on? I don't remember if they're in here, of what it is proposed to look like. I didn't see pictures. Renderings.
Ed, is it my understanding these houses will be the same as the applicant has previously built at, am I going to get the addresses right, 250, 252, and 254? Hillcrest?
252 and 250.
That was the only.
Thank you.
Yes, they are the
Yeah.
same.
Do we have any board questions or comments?
From my zoning hearing board packet, I have pictures. I can have you guys want to take a quick look at them, or?
Sure.
Oh, nice. I don't know how Patrice is going to see these. Patrice, we can get you pictures.
Thank
So you
you.
can see this too. Do we have any other comments from you?
No.
Anything to add? Okay. Any other public or board comments? While Sean is scanning away, do we have any public comments? I don't see any. Patrice, I don't mean to single you out, but because you didn't get to see any pictures, do you have any concerns, comments, questions?
No.
Okay. Okay, I think we're good to move ahead. Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-17, granting conditional preliminary/final plan approval for the subdivision land development 05-22, Catania Construction LLC, 246 and 248 Hillcrest Avenue for a minor lot subdivision?
And may I just say an objection, and all waivers with the exception of the 5 pointed out that staff recommended be denied by the Board of Supervisors.
All waivers with the exception of the 5 that were recommended for exception.
For denial by
For
the Board
denial.
of Supervisors.
So moved.
Sorry.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. McCusker?
Yes.
Ms. Toll?
Yes.
Mr. Manuel?
Yes.
Ms. Turenne?
Yes.
Chair Nestor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. There we go. Okay, so the next we have a review of a subdivision land development 06-22, Eric and Kelsey Riethmiller, 108 Hampton Lane. It's an amended final plan, amended with stormwater easement, the Lillian Elliott subdivision. Charlie?
This is an amendment of a plan that was originally recorded in the 90s that created Hampton Lane and the 8 lots and houses that front on Hampton Lane. It only affects one lot, which is 108, which is the one here at the end of the cul-de-sac. The applicant is proposing to install an in-ground pool and related improvements, and as a result of that, a stormwater easement that was included on the recorded plan, on the original plan, has to be amended. And that's the sole reason that we're amending this final plan today. The original easement followed these dotted lines and went all the way to the end of the property. That conflicts with the area where the pool and the improvements are being put in. The new easement is in the area that you see as crosshatched. This was the original Lillian Elliott plan that was recorded, and this is the one that would be recorded if this subdivision is approved. And that really is the entire substance of the plan and the only difference in the plan. So it does not affect the other 7 lots in any way. It doesn't affect the home on this lot either. It really is a very simple amendment, and the Planning Commission saw this at their May 10th meeting, and the only thing that they wanted to make sure was that the landscape plan would be amended to show native species, and this is the landscape plan in the area where the pool is going, and this is the amended plan showing new species, which are all natives. So the plan stays exactly the same, just the species are being changed in accordance with the recommendations of the Planning Commission.
And is that outlined in the resolution?
Excuse me?
The native species are added?
Yeah. There's
I think so.
no other change whatsoever.
Okay.
And the applicant representatives are here if there are any questions.
Good evening. Robert Blue. I apologize for not having a jacket. I'm a fill-in tonight. So thank you very much. Charlie was correct that, it's a very minor modification. We went about it as if we were building 50 lots. We met with the neighbors, the Corman. She wanted some additional landscaping along the side. We modified the basin. Back in 1989 and 1990, your basin would be like the amount of water coming in would be the amount of water going out for various storms. So we modified the basin and put a restrictor plate on it, so the downstream property owners will notice a significant difference in the amount of water that comes out of the basin. Simple fix, but we just took it one step beyond that. And when we met with the Planning Commission, they wanted native plants. Well, you can switch back, Charlie. That's the colored rendering. So we changed it from, and that one also has the new plant material on it. So we would respectfully ask for a preliminary final approval.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any board questions? No. Okay, any public questions, comments? Seeing none. Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-18, granting amended final plan approval for the subdivision land development 06-22, Riethmiller, 108 Hampton Lane, for an amended stormwater easement?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller?
Mr. McCusker?
Yes.
Ms. Toll?
Yes.
Mr. Manuel?
Yes.
Ms. Turenne?
Yes.
Chair Nestor?
Yes.
Just one additional thing. The clients have been anxiously waiting to get started on the grading, and I believe that we've fulfilled all the requirements of of your township engineer, we would ask that we get the grading permit issued. You know, we'll record the plan. We'll get the plans down to you, Charlie, whichever number of plans that you want, but we'd like to get started.
Give me a call tomorrow.
Sure will. When we start this plan, the kids are this big now, they're in college. So, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Okay, we're down to motions. Do I have a motion to authorize the demolition of the home at 4046 Butler Pike and subsequent costs associated with the demolition project covered under Act 153?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Chair Nestor. As you know, a few months ago, we settled on the house at 4046 Butler Pike, commonly known as the Hall property. They were the last residents of the property. Since that time, we've been working with our Public Works Director, Jack Fields, in terms of securing the house, getting the utilities turned off, and putting together a proposal for what would be the removal of the house. The home has been vacated for several years. It is unkept. It is a code enforcement nightmare and eyesore along Butler Pike. It is between two properties, the Jehovah's Witness property, which about 10 years ago they improved their property for one of their houses of worship, as well as there's a residential slash business. Pat Skiba has her property and business there, a well-kept property. So this certainly would, it's a little, about almost 2 acres of 2.71 acres of property. So we're proposing here would be the removal of the home. There would be some tree removal in order to do the removal of the home. We've had our arborist, John Hosbeck, go out, actually tag trees that should stay and others that should be removed. We've removed, there was an old vehicle there. We've done some securing. There's 2 sheds that Public Works will remove that really you can't see because of all the overgrowth of property. But really in the front, we just want to make it, you know, kind of an easy maintenance area that will just become really just naturalized from that standpoint until whatever the future holds of that property and the board decides to do with that property is determined. But in any event, there is a little bit of a depression that's there. There is that's going to be filled in. That is along the property line. We have reached out to Mrs. Skiba to make her aware of all of this. Both Jack and I had conversations with her about just some buffering and so on, what some things that she might want. We wanted to be a good neighbor there. We've also planned on reaching out to Jehovah's Witness. There'll be less really any removal of trees along that side because the property kind of butts more on the other side where the Skiba property is. But nonetheless, we just want to make sure that we reach out to them and make sure they know what's going on, just being immediate neighbors. And we hope that by the end of the summer, all of this will be taken care of. It'll be reseeded, they'll be filled, the sinkhole will be filled, and it'll just be normal maintenance for our crews. And the rest of it, the majority of the property kind of goes back. It's almost like a flag lot type shape. You can't even see that from Butler Pike. So we just wanted to at least let the board know what's going on, at least have a public process for this. So obviously, when they see things coming down, the folks there know what's going on, and anybody who would drive by had an opportunity, if they saw it on the agenda, to comment if they so chose.
Thank you, Rick. Does the board have any comments? Do we have any public comments? I don't see any on the Zoom. Yeah.
I was just thinking, do we have any idea yet on what the cost of demolition will be?
Sure. So the demolition, we received 3 quotes. The low quote was $19,800 to remove the home. That would be the demolition. Then there's other subsequent costs related to some tree removal that we would have to do. That's at estimated about $11,500. And then there's been some other costs to remove some. There was an oil tank that was on the property that we had to have removed. pumped out and removed, and we had to have a car towed from there. So those were very nominal costs associated with it.
Thank you.
And that all comes from the Act 153. Yeah,
Correct.
great. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve a hold harmless agreement for a fence in the ultimate right-of-way at 201 Marble Lane?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Guttenplan.
Thank you. This is about as benign as you can get. This is a house at the end of Marble Lane, adjacent to school district property. Colonial Drive is right here, trails right here. The fence is along, the fence in question, the fence is going around much of the property, but the fence in question is along the side closest to the school district at the very end of the road where it literally just dead ends. And this is not the best diagram in the world, but if you can see, there is a little bit of yellow highlighting at the very bottom here that represents 6 feet of the fence that is going into the ultimate right-of-way of Marble Lane. Again, this is the property line against the school district, so there's no vehicle traffic here, there's no safety concern, so staff is recommending approval of the hold harmless agreement.
Thank you. Any board comments, questions? Okay. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve expenditures and payroll and pension plan paid costs totaling $634,758.85, $679,764.87, $4,971.26.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Saw everybody. Motion carries. And then we had a revised agenda. Do I have a motion to authorize the solicitor's appearance before a zoning hearing board to monitor the zoning hearing board 2022-10 Sabra Healthcare application?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much, Chair Boyle-Nestor. This was discussed. There will be a zoning hearing related to Sabra Healthcare. They have a special exception case before our zoning hearing board. Obviously, in 99% of cases, our board chooses not to necessarily get involved or actively participate. You always have the option to support an application or be against an application, but I know this is of particular interest both to the board and to the community. So our advice would be that you send our office to monitor the situation, see how it develops, report back to the board, and maybe they change their position based on what you hear and what you observe. But if not, at the very least, we recommend, because this is of interest to many residents of the township, that you send our office to monitor at the next zoning hearing.
Thank you, Sean. Certainly appreciate your insight on that. Any board questions, comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed? I saw everybody. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to authorize the public bid for the refuse and recycling contract?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Halbum?
Oh, good evening. Yes, so included in your memo or in your packet this week was a memo summarizing our strategy here. This is the third year of our current contract and the final year of the regular contract period. We have 2 one-year extension options, so staff are recommending that we advertise the bid just to see basically what other potential bidders and prices we may receive. Of course, if we don't like those bids, the board is free to exercise the extension options with the current trash contract. So if you have any other questions, I'm here, but I would just say we're recommending bidding of the trash specs.
And this goes on the website, like it's known how to find bids if you so wanted to.
Yes, there's a static section of the website called Bids and RFPs, and anyone who's interested in doing business with the township can sign up for automated emails. We may also be going through the process to use pen bids to advertise this, which is another means, but the bid process will be announced, through the typical channels.
And what is the time frame that we have to make a decision if we do have bids? When would we vote?
So we're required to notify the existing contractor at least 90 days prior to the end of the current contract. So that is the only real deadline we have with the current contract. We would be advertising these bids, well before then, probably in the next, I think, month.
Yeah, our goal would be to have these advertised by the end of the month so that, open them and that we could be discussing them in August and
Excellent.
make a determination. So we have plenty of time to either exercise the option or decide to not exercise it and select a new contract.
What is that deadline? What is 90 days before the end of the term?
December 31st is the
Is the end? Okay.
September
So
30,
September.
I believe, would be the deadline.
All right.
Excellent. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Any board questions? Any further questions? Any public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Great, motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for the roof replacement at 37 East Germantown Pike?
So moved.
Second.
I believe Charlie?
Thank you. This is this is the location on Germantown Pike at the corner of Marple Lane. It's a 3-building complex of offices and similar uses, and they have come before HARB asking for a recommendation to replace the roofs on all 3 of the buildings, the one in the front being the most historic building, the others are newer buildings, and the HARB made a recommendation for approval of the certificate of appropriateness with a condition that they put half-round gutters on and not the more contemporary K gutters, and they agreed to that. I will tell you as a footnote that you'll probably see this again next month, because after the HARB made their recommendation yesterday and the applicant took it back to his roofer had an issue with the gutters on the 2 newer buildings in the back because they need larger gutters, and half-round gutters don't come in different sizes. So they may be coming back asking for approval for more contemporary gutters on the back 2 buildings, but they will comply on the front building, and they've agreed not to put any gutters on the rear building until they come back to HARB. So currently the recommendation is approval of the new roofs with half-round gutters. That was just a footnote of what you're going to see, potentially modifying that next month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any board questions or comments? Okay, public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for the exterior door modification and deck removal at 3024 Terra Court?
So moved.
Second.
This is for a couple of improvements on a home on Terra Court. Terra Court, as you may know, is a subdivision that was done in the 1980s. These are not historic buildings, but you've seen this issue before. And the proposal here is to make a couple of modifications to doorways on the back of the building and to remove a deck on the back of the building. All of this is in preparation for a patio, which will come in as a future application. The owner has not applied for the patio yet, but this is the house, you understand. It's a 1980s home. All the improvements that are being proposed are in the rear of the home. There's one plan that shows it best. That neither of the plans are very clear, but if you, this is the home here. This is a doorway that is being sealed up because it's not in a logical place on the interior. And this is where there will be a patio slider cut into the back of the house. This is where existing deck is that's coming down, and perhaps next month you'll see the patio application. But right now the application is just for changing the doors and removing the existing deck. And again, Harb saw no problem with this and recommended a certificate of appropriateness be issued.
Excellent, thank you. Any board questions? Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We are now at the public comment period. Okay, I don't see any public comments. Do we have any board comments? I'd like to announce that we had executive session tonight where we discussed personnel and litigation. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, Whitemarsh.